Dances with Wolves star. He's not the star, but he was a main actor in the show. Nathan Chasinghorse. He's 46 years old. He's a member of the Rosebud Reservation in South Dakota.
All right.
Good. Oh, I thought you said, here it goes again. Oh, just turned off. We're off to a great start here. So he played Smiles a lot in Dances with the Wolves. He was allegedly running a polygamist cult called The Circle and had members as young as 13. There's alleged victims as young as 13. It's disgusting.
Yeah, this is giving Ezra Miller.
Yeah, that was the first
Nick
thing I
Cannon.
thought about. Right. Ezra Miller, especially because he was basically like trolling an Indian reservation to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say the word harem,
Yeah.
but like he has over his years terrorizing people collected a group of women that has been loyal to him.
Yep.
And the last we heard was that he was in Vermont on his farm, supposedly providing shelter to a young family, a single mother and her children. And that father actually was still in Hawaii and trying to get a protective order out on Ezra to get him away from the children.
So Chasinghorse, he only acted in about 5 or 6 things as recently as 2005, but I did see something else on his IMDb that was in pre-production. So I don't know if he was coming back to acting when all this stuff happened. Sometimes stuff sits in pre-production for years and years and years. But they found drugs. They found videos of him supposedly assaulting women. They found, and apparently not just the women that lived with him, but accused of also like basically pimping out these girls to paying customers. Like,
yeah, a lot of people responded to this situation saying like, we were all waiting for this to happen. We were all waiting for him to get caught. And if you're, thank you.
Oh, there it goes.
Bring the money. Let's go.
I wanted to change the colors behind us to green and yellow.
Yeah.
Would have been very Surge. Oh, and it's saying Surge. This is your
Yes,
day.
this is my day.
Oh my God.
Sir.
Yeah. I thought the same thing.
It's a different spelling, but still.
Yeah, same diff.
But people have had the notion that this guy is dangerous for a while now in the Native American community, and
He was
they've
kicked
been
off
waiting
of
for him to get caught.
He was kicked off the reservation in Poplar, Montana. Years ago. So they knew this
People were saying like, I'm scared to even take my children to the
No.
park, things like this.
And the like, not just Ezra Miller, but I just wondered, is this the type of thing where it's going to just disappear from the news because it's not a current year actor? I think it will, unfortunately.
I mean,
think so
he
too.
is, after all, a former child star.
Yeah.
And I do think that has to be addressed. I think him being a former child actor probably caused him, at least in part, to become a maladjusted, dangerous person. And that
Absolutely.
happens far too often. I guess Ezra Miller would fit in the same category, actually.
Yep. So when they threw him off the reservation, it was for allegedly for allegations of human trafficking. So they were aware of that aspect of it well before all of this. Thank you.
We were just talking about polygamy on a recent show as well,
Yeah.
because it wasn't Nick Cannon that was talking about it, was it? It was somebody else.
No, it was Akon,
It was Akon, yeah.
who's married to, he has
Akon.
3
And
wives.
people were bringing up Nick Cannon as well. Now he doesn't have 3 legal wives, Akon, but they're probably like private ceremonies that don't have any papers, just like the one that
Definitely
Kanye just did with Bianca Censori.
What's with all the fake weddings?
I don't know. Hollywood's weird. They do that a lot.
Yeah.
Probably for financial reasons, but also because none of them are religious. I don't know. Like I feel like this stuff goes in a slippery slope where like you start to accept certain things as normal that just are not normal, polygamy being just one example, and then it leads to some very destructive, I guess, social
Yep.
contagions.
Yeah,
like
because
in an insulated group, especially with polygamy, it's like you're going to cause interpersonal conflict at the very least, but abuse when it gets to a certain point.
And the other thing about this is like we've kind of built a society now where you're not allowed to disapprove of anything. Like, and I'm kind of I guess I fall into that category a lot of the time because being more libertarian than the rest. Like the idea is like as long as you're not hurting anyone, what do I care? But a lot of people don't realize that these are kids. You are absolutely harming children.
And because there are marriages
Yeah.
involved, there are, of course,
Yes.
children involved.
Exactly.
I want to know if this is something that's gone on throughout history, because they said he used his medicine man guys.
Yeah.
Right? Is it a?
Wow.
I wanted
Yeah.
to see if it was a Sioux thing. It said Sioux, right? That's what.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's a
Someone
Sioux
did
tribe.
comment on this story saying, I
Right.
heard of him being a holy man years ago and knew something wasn't right. Having a holy man in my husband's family, I know there are years of learning, and not just anyone can be a holy man. This is like I guess,
Yeah.
a special status in their tribe or in a lot of different tribes. And he said, I hope he's given the maximum time in prison with no plea deals.
Wow, true.
It's bad enough that there are many Native women and girls who disappear without having one of your own being responsible
Yeah,
for
but
those horrible crimes.
How are you supposed to know who's a true holy man and who's not? I mean, I guess you're gonna have a gut instinct, but like, you know, like one of the criticisms of the Mormon religion is that it was like a 14-year-old that went into the woods and was like, hey, found these scriptures from
I don't know a
God.
lot about Joseph Smith.
I know a lot
And-
about it.
But the point
We'll
was,
get into it later.
We will.
with
We have a-
NV
we have a
Youngboy.
better
Sure,
topic
sure.
later.
My point is not so the Mormonism, but the fact that it's like, how are you supposed to know? Like back then, like without the internet, with just like word of mouth being the best way to tell stories, like when do you trust a guy claiming to be a holy man and
Yeah.
have your best interest in their heart? And
Irrespective
when
of
are they a phony? Like, how are you supposed to know?
irrespective of which religion it is, everyone knows that powerful people use religion and religious authority as
Yeah.
a cloak for their bad behavior and their personal deficiencies, and this looks like one of those examples.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, even Scientology has its claws very deep in Hollywood. I didn't
Absolutely.
even know that Will Smith and his family were Scientologists, but I just
yeah.
learned that recently.
I didn't know that.
I guess they're less public about it than a lot of other celebrities, like Tom Cruise, for instance.
Yeah.
But
He
yeah,
kinda
like
became,
there
like,
are.
the de facto face of it after the couch.
After
Why
Tom Cruise.
hasn't like
Yeah.
Alex Jones gone in and like exposed what Scientology? Like everyone kind of like knows
Yeah. They're
what
just super
Scientology
litigious.
is.
They're super,
but
super litigious.
No one's.
And they're
There's no
Right.
they're
videos, there's no
dangerous.
photos. Like at least not.
And
that I'm
it's
aware of.
become a little bit of a punchline
Yeah.
for
it
us
definitely
too.
is.
I
It
won't say
definitely
we're
is.
not part of that, and it's because of what you just said, Brett, that we have this culture where you can't disapprove of anything.
Yeah, that's my.
That they are getting away with using religion to accelerate a secular dogma.
Yeah, and that's like when I think of like this type of would he be called like a false god of sorts? Like is that what
Maybe
you
false
call
prophet.
false prophet of
Maybe.
sorts? Like I think of all the things we're not allowed to question in society anymore because Fauci says so, because somebody else says so, and we've built this society where you're not allowed to ask any questions,
This
and it
says-
gets worse.
Chasing Horse trained all 5 of
Yeah.
his wives, whom he lived with in his Las Vegas residence, to use firearms and told them to shoot it out with police officers if they ever tried to, quote, break their family apart, and instructed his wives to take suicide pills if their plan failed.
This is like
Totally not
some-
culty at all.
This
Yeah.
is like
Totally
They were
some,
the pills
not-
were given to police by 2 women. So look,
Sounds like Branch Davidians. to
I
be
saw
honest.
something, a crazy take on Twitter after this was reported, where
You don't say.
this guy was like, this guy was like, oh, it's just alleged. Like all of this Me Too stuff is reporting on it before we know if he's guilty or innocent. But I mean, if you've got the freaking cyanide pills,
Right,
and you've
right.
got the records of this happening,
If there's
they had
videos of it
enough
happening.
evidence to warrant an arrest, right?
We're
And
also
he's
talking
been,
about
he's been charged,
minors.
not convicted.
Yeah, true. Whereas it's
We're-
minors. It's not like
We're talking about minors. We're not talking
Yeah.
about adults on a bad date. We're talking about stuff that even if they were consenting, it would be a crime
Right.
and illegal.
When it comes to talking about alleged incidents with celebrities, especially, we're so used to
Yeah.
being suspicious first.
Well, it was
because it's
also-
all been diluted.
It was also normalized very recently in history, like the 50s and 60s,
Yeah.
even the 70s. There was constantly famous people who had like teenage partners,
Yeah.
yeah.
and it was just normalized.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Jerry
even.
Seinfeld.
I didn't know that.
Like that
Yeah.
was
As
a
recent as
thing.
that,
I mean,
yeah.
Hillary Duff and who was that guy from? No, it wasn't Sum 41, or it was a Good Charlotte.
Yeah.
Like that,
Yep.
things like that were actually considered more normal back then.
Even like incestual stuff too, like within
Woody
the family.
Allen.
Woody Allen, yeah, it's a huge
That's
one.
Yeah, but Woody
So-
Allen is now kind of
And now,
persona
like,
non grata.
the terms about like that we
What?
used to talk
Yeah.
about these things have been so abused and diluted that when you say the word misconduct, it's referring to Aziz Ansari having an awkward date
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
and Woody Allen's incest scandal
Right,
at the
which is-
same time.
It's such a
And it-
ridiculous comparison.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
It's absurd.
So we're not even able to talk about this. We're all like talking past each other
Yeah.
when these things come up.
And the idea is that like you're not allowed to take the opinion one way or the like if you're the guy on the other side of this argument who's like they were consenting. No, they were underage. They can't consent.
I mean, it's arguable that even if they weren't underage, there are still cult-like aspects to this story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That means he was
Definitely.
threatening them and as well like their children to stay in this situation. They have children younger than 16 in this household.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is this kind of Hollywood's fault for the moral decay that we're experiencing right now.
I wouldn't even like.
Hollywood
a lot of
and
it comes from that same
entertainment's
area, right?
is it
it's
the
all from
entertainment world's
world.
fault
Yeah.
for degrading our society as far as it has been kind of degraded to?
Would he be at this point without being a former child
Well, no,
star?
I'm not even saying just him. I'm saying like, but in general, how do we get to this point, right? Like, is this happening in other countries? Like, is this type of stuff as prominent as it is
Well, of
here?
course, polygamy is common in a lot of other
But
countries.
I just mean, I mean, like the conversations about abuse and stuff like this.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, I like. It's difficult to say like when. I mean, even things like the foundations of Islam, for instance, like the wife of Muhammad, Aisha, who was 9 years old, which is written in the Quran. It's like it's stated as such that the wedding was or like the marriage was consummated when she was 9, but he married her when she was like 6 years old.
That's ridiculous.
Even then, I promise you, even then it was looked upon as like odd because she hadn't reached puberty yet, so she was unable to, you know.
Well, it's
be able
even
to
taboo
procreate.
to point out that like the life expectancy in a lot of these like ancient times was 30, 40 years old.
Yeah, well,
and,
40,
and,
50,
and
yeah.
you can acknowledge it, but it's even taboo. That doesn't make you elderly when you're 30 or 40.
Right.
It just makes you
In
near
the
death.
in the chat, KM says, "Are they talking about MILF Manor?" Yes, exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. How do you
Manor, what's
get
up?
how do you get to the society we're at now? So yesterday I was reading a bunch of the reviews for MILF Manor, and all of the reviews were along the lines of like, "I feel like I need to take a shower as soon as I'm done with the episode." I love it.
That's the goal.
That's what
That's
we
the goal
want.
to make. That's what I've said on this show before, and I seem like a crazy person when I point it out. But it's Hollywood trying to get you feel like you're the creep.
Yeah.
You're the creep, not them. They're always pointing the finger at the viewer. Like, you're watching this because you're messed up. We're not messed up for making it because there's a market for it and it's your fault.
It's just business for us.
I'm honestly just shocked that MILF Manor has taken this long to become a thing. Like, why? I thought it. I
I mean,
was,
there are other versions of it. Like, I think there's one called Back in the Groove that we already talked
Yeah.
about. But hopefully, you can make a dating show that features women of a certain age range without making it into a weird incest thing with their sons.
where you touch your own child's
It's literally
ass.
yeah, that is a weird
disgusting.
twist. It's like they had a good idea, and they're like, but wait, guys.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
was it even a good idea
what
in the
if they
first
bring
place?
their kids? Eh.
It was a bad idea, and then they made it an even worse idea by far.
I'll push back a little bit because it's normalized for like a 50, 40-year-old man to be with a 20-year-old woman.
I don't know if that is normalized anymore.
I think it is.
I
for
think
the
it,
most
I,
part.
it maybe not in the media, but I think it's still
Oh,
very
dude.
common.
I'm just
What
saying
about
they
Leo?
would never make
Literally,
a
I was
show
just
like
gonna
that.
say
but that's not. But
DiCaprio.
we're
They'd
not
never
living-
make a
yeah.
DILF manor.
Yeah.
Like Brett pointed out,
Yeah.
they would never do that
No,
because it's not socially acceptable.
because like
Yeah.
the guys
Yeah,
on The
true.
Bachelor, not necessarily the specific Bachelor show, but bachelors usually range from like the young 20-year-old stud and then like the financial mogul who's in his 40s or 50s. Like those Bachelor shows vary. Like
Yeah.
you get a wide selection of men when it comes to age.
Also, these ladies are not milfs. They're not. They're what you would call.
Far from
what's after cougar? What? what?
Gilf.
No, what there's. I think there's a. I
God.
think there's one that
Golden
comes
Girls.
after cougar. And
They definitely could have found a cast of a little bit better looking.
well,
ladies,
no,
but-
they could like when your options are. Oh, by the way, you're gonna have to touch your son.
I don't-
Creepy. Like maybe your options are
The
limited.
physiognomy of somebody
Yeah.
who would consent to something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's that like starved
pretty
for
bad.
fame and needs
So
attention,
apparently,
needs
if
the
you're in your
clout.
30s, you're a puma.
Oh,
in your
no.
40s,
Oh,
you're
man.
a cougar. And
What-
if you're in the 50s, you're a jaguar.
That's what it was. Jaguar. I've heard that.
I didn't know that.
That's
So I'm happy not to be the expert on that.
the fact that these terms exist show that the culture has shifted in a way. Like, imagine somebody in the 50s. You know, oh,
I
Dad,
love-
what's a cougar, Dad?
I
Like,
love how
well,
accurate-
Johnny.
That's what I'm saying though. Like I believe that Hollywood's next thing that they're going to push in media to normalize to us is group marriage.
Yeah. I mean, Sister Wives is already a thing as far
It
as
is.
TV shows. Like, there's a
And
TV
once you
show
go
called-
there, you go to incest.
This is
really
great.
quickly.
If the next story that's here is what I think it is, this is fantastic segue material.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.